The movie opens in West Virginia, introducing us to our protagonist, Jimmy Logan. He is seen explaining the lyrics of his favorite song to his loving daughter, Sadie. Jimmy is a former football player who lost a leg during a match in high school. He now has a construction job in the tunnels underneath the Charlotte Motor Speedway. He is very close to his daughter, but sadly, he only gets to meet her once a week as she lives with her mother, Bobby. Turns out the couple separated years back, and now Bobby lives with her rich husband, Moody, and two sons. One day, Jimmy is going through his regular shift in the construction site when he's summoned by his boss. The latter has just learned about Jimmy's leg injuries, so he fires him for being a potential liability. Following this, Jimmy drives to his sister Mellie, who is a hairstylist by profession. She is in charge of preparing Sadie for her upcoming beauty pageant selection contest. But when Jimmy arrives there, he learns that Sadie's program was actually the previous day, not today as he thought. After messing up, he goes to talk to his ex-wife, who is very much upset about this, but Sadie is more forgiving. During their conversation, Bobby reveals that they'll be soon moving to Lynchburg, as Moody is planning to open up a new car dealership there. Jimmy is clearly distraught, as he doesn't want his daughter to move away so far from him. He then realizes that he needs a lot of money to hire the best lawyer to deal with this case. Later that evening, Jimmy goes to a bar run by his brother Clyde, a former war veteran who lost his arm and now wears a prosthetic one. The two then talk about their problems and speculate that the Logan family has been cursed. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted by the arrival of a pretentious NASCAR team owner, Max Chiblane, and his two men. Max ruthlessly makes fun of Clyde's disability, which infuriates the brothers. As a result, Jimmy gets into a brawl with the gang members, while Clyde walks out and sets Max's expensive car on fire. Following this, Jimmy calls his brother Cauliflower, their secret code word they used when they committed crimes as young boys, because nothing says badass like vegetables. The next morning, while having breakfast, Clyde asks Jimmy for the reason why he used the code word. Jimmy then shares his plan to rob the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Despite Clyde's initial reluctance, Jimmy begins to explain all details of their targeted area. Turns out that while he was working in that tunnel, he came across the highly secured money storage system that uses pneumatic tubes for moving a vast amount of money to a real bank vault. To carry out the robbery successfully, they need to blow up this bank vault, and the only person who can do this is Joe Bang, an incarcerated safecracker. The brothers then pay a visit to Joe in the prison. As they share their plan, Joe laughs it off, wondering how he can carry out the heist while being in jail. However, the duo assures him that they can get him in and out of prison without detection. Joe agrees, on the condition that they include his dim-witted younger brothers, Fish and Sam, in the mission. As a result, the Logan brothers head to meet the Bang brothers at the Easter Fair and recruit them in the heist. Furthermore, Jimmy and Clyde also involve their sister Mellie in their scheme. As the first part of the plan, Clyde gets himself arrested by intentionally crashing a car through a shop window, earning him a 90-day sentence. After this, Joe and Clyde start working together in the prison. They also involve some fellow inmates to help them escape. Outside, Jimmy and his sister keep a close eye on a prison's delivery van, noting the exact date and time when it departs from the prison. On the other hand, Sam and Fish infest the Speedway's tube system with painted cockroaches in order to determine which tubes go to the real bank vault. One day, Jimmy stumbles upon a healthcare worker, Sylvia, who happened to be his classmate in high school. Upon noticing an injury on his forehead, she brings him to her van and administers him with a tetanus shot. Since Jimmy doesn't have any job, he has no money to pay for it. However, Sylvia explains that she doesn't need any money. Her organization works on donations from wealthy people. The next day, Jimmy heads to his previous workplace under the pretense of retrieving his remaining stuff. During this, he sneaks into his boss's cabin and steals a blueprint of the Speedway. On his way out, he runs into his boss, who expresses his guilt for having to fire him. Jimmy cleverly changes the topic, indirectly asking about the status of the ongoing construction work beneath the Speedway. In response, the boss tells him that the work is being completed ahead of schedule, which is a big change in Jimmy's robbery plan. Now, the heist must be carried out 1 week earlier, which happens to coincide with the biggest race of the season, Coca-Cola 600. It appears to be the busiest race, which makes it tougher for them to pull off the robbery. Despite this setback, Jimmy refuses to call off the mission and relays the revised plan to the rest of his team members. Finally, the long-awaited race day arrives, and the heist begins. During lunchtime, Joe pretends to be sick and starts to vomit all over the canteen. scene. As a result, he is rushed to the prison's infirmary, where he's allowed to rest. Shortly after, he requests the nurse's permission to go to the restroom, but the latter suggests that he use the urinal. Joe hesitates, but at the same time, Clyde walks in to take him there. Meanwhile, in the dining hall, Joe's inmate Naman picks up a fight with another prisoner, which eventually leads to a riot. This causes the warden to lock up all the doors of the facility, preventing anyone from escaping. Amidst this commotion, Joe and Clyde use a secret bathroom passage to make their way out of the prison. They then hide under the delivery truck using wooden cases and finally get out of the facility. As the truck pulls over at a gas station, the two get off and head towards a rendezvous point. There, they're picked up by Mellie, after which the trio drives to the speedway. Elsewhere, the Bang brothers blow up a cell tower of a speedway arena, disabling all the credit card machines and forcing vendors to accept cash only. Consequently, the cash transaction begins to increase rapidly, and all the employees in the stalls are instructed to keep sending the money to the vault via pneumatic tube. Upon reaching the speedway, Joe and Clyde head down to the basement where Jimmy is waiting for them. Following this, the three of them enter the tube room, and Joe uses his chemical knowledge to create an improvised explosive. He then carefully places it in an empty capsule and launches it through the tube. As the bomb explodes, it opens the gate from the tube to the vault. However, the smoke starts to release out of the other tubes, which is witnessed by the vendors. They immediately alert the authorities, who then dispatch 2 officers to check out the vault in the basement. In the interim, the robbery group connects the tube to a giant vacuum pump and begins sucking up all the cash into garbage bags. In this process, Joe accidentally sucks out Clyde's prosthetic arm as well, causing him to become paranoid. Fearing that the robbery might be linked to him, he starts searching for his arms. Jimmy somehow manages to calm him down, assuring that he'll get his arm back. After filling up several bags with money, Sam and Fish load them onto a baggage-loading vehicle and proceed out towards Jimmy's truck. However, they face a problem on their way. The gate fails to open. Just when it appears that they are going to get caught, Jimmy arrives at the scene and helps them open the gate, finally allowing them to drive out. In the meantime, 2 officers notice smoke coming up from the pneumatic tube ventilation compartment. They enter the compartment and find Earl, one of Clyde's bar patrons, enjoying his cigarette. Mistaking him to be one of the workers, the officers instruct him to put out the cigarette and get back to work. Smoking kills, but it also saves your ass from jail. Simultaneously, the Coca-Cola 600 race kicks off. Max, among the spectators, enthusiastically supports his new driver, Dayton White. Dayton performs very well for the first few minutes, but he soon loses control of his car and crashes into one of the barricades, resulting in his elimination from the race. Afterwards, the enraged Max yells at him for his recklessness, accusing him of making him lose a large sum of money. In the midst of their argument, Joe and Clyde walk out of the basement after completing their mission and stumble upon them. Max immediately recognizes Clyde from the bar, but before the situation escalates, the latter punches him in the face and flees. A while later, Jimmy successfully retrieves his brother's arm and makes his way out of the basement. He gets into the money-filled truck before driving away from the scene. As the planned time of the heist elapses, the inmates in the prison trigger a fire alarm, which alerts the fire department. Joe and Clyde use this opportunity to sneak back inside the prison, disguising themselves as firefighters. They immediately revert to their prison outfits and assume their original position, acting as if everything is normal. In the aftermath of this event, Mellie gets Sadie ready for her beauty pageant finals. During this, the little girl asks for her father, but Mellie has no idea where he is. Not long after, Sadie walks up to the stage, all set to start her performance. Moments before Sadie's performance, Jimmy shows up on the scene, bringing a great relief to his daughter. Much to Jimmy's surprise, Sadie sings his favorite song, "Take Me Home, Country Roads." The crowd enjoys the performance and eventually starts to sing along, while Jimmy has tears in his eyes. After the show, Jimmy abandons the truck with money at a gas station and anonymously informs the police about it. With this, Charlotte Motor Speedway gets back most of the money it had lost and claims insurance for the rest of it. This news infuriates all of the team members, who believe that their efforts have gone in vain. A few months later, Clyde and Joe are released from the prison and begin living their normal lives. One evening, Joe comes to Clyde's bar to ask about his brother. However, Clyde claims he only knows that Jimmy has relocated to Lynchburg, along with his daughter and his ex-wife's family. Apart from all this, the FBI takes over the robbery case, with Agent Sarah Grayson leading the crew. At first, they investigate the money storage system, but find nothing unusual. However, they do have an eyewitness, Max, who discloses everything he saw that day. Upon learning about the one-armed Clyde, the agents pay a visit at the prison to meet the warden. However, the warden confidently boasts that no one can break out from his prison, especially under his supervision. Sarah still has her suspicion towards Jimmy, Clyde, and Joe, but she has no evidence to prove anything. 6 months pass by, but she is unable to uncover any leads regarding the case. Now that the Speedway president is satisfied with the recovered funds and insurance settlement, the FBI agents are forced to close the case permanently. One day, Joe is having some coffee at his place when he suddenly notices a shovel outside. He then proceeds to dig a marked spot and finds one of the trash bags filled with money, making him delighted. Here, it's revealed that the money Sam and Fish took out earlier was only a small portion of what the Logan siblings actually stole. They had hid the extra money in separate trash bags with trackers in order to retrieve it later from the dumping site. In the end, everyone involved in the heist receives a heavy payout, including Sylvia and Naman. In the final scene, we see the robbery gang reuniting at Clyde's bar. Jimmy also brings Sylvia, with whom he shares a romantic relationship now. As the group celebrates, Agent Sarah walks into the bar and strikes a conversation with Clyde, claiming that she's new to the area. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.